Hey everyone, I'm Roger Haskett, talking to people in a pandemic. I wanted to talk about innovation. I was on Clubhouse yesterday, hosting a room, and we were talking about identity, innovation, and insights. And when we got to the innovation side, it was really interesting. Most of the people in the room were law related, although not exclusively, as is in Clubhouse. There's all sorts of people. And so what was happening when we were talking was that innovation was being talked about mostly in tech terms. Like, it's we've been forced to innovate because of the pandemic. Law firms are notoriously slow to innovate, and so they've been forced to. And there was lots of talk about tech solutions, et cetera. I think actually a massive innovation for the world, let alone law, is to think of happiness as an innovation. One of the things that we're learning from neuroscience, so from the book, The Happiness Advantage, if you haven't read that, I really encourage you to read it, or get the short version, watch the TED Talk. It's Sean Aker. I think he's a hero. Anyway, he's a neuroscientist, and his theory is, what he's proven is that happiness is an advantage. When you're happy, you have an advantage over people who are unhappy or not happy, because it gives us a boost. It gives us power. It gives us energy. It gives us positivity, which allows us to reach for things that we didn't even think we could reach for. It allows us to reach for things that we didn't even think existed. That's the power of the happiness advantage. That's the power of happiness. And so I was arguing on Clubhouse that an innovation that is perfect for 2021 is an innovation to be more human, to have our lives be more human, that our work and home life are harmonized. They don't just balance, they're actually harmonized. And one of the things that we're finding is that so many people are forced home through remote work because of the pandemic. They're forced to confront either how much lack of harmony there is in their work and home life, or how much more they want, or even that this is the way they want it to be. So happiness, I think, is an innovation. Being human, like being human at work, seems to be an innovation. And this is an innovation that we should be grabbing onto and bringing closer and closer and pushing into every single situation I think that we can find. Because guess what? We are human, and we do better when we actually recognize that we're human and we're not automatons or robots. Do you say automaton? I think you do. Or robots or whatever. We are human. We have emotion, we have laughter, and we have sadness. And these things exist in us. And if we don't actually recognize those at work, then we are limiting the people at work to being subhuman. Subhuman doesn't seem to be a good way to approach work, does it? We want to be as present and as powerful as possible when we are at the most important things in our life. And work is one of those, but it's not the only one. Our relationships, our friendships, our happiness, our culture, like our home culture and our work culture, these are all things that are massively important. So I would argue innovation in 2021, why don't we put away talking exclusively about tech? We can't just, like, we have to talk somewhat about tech because it's 2021, but why don't we why don't we enlarge that discussion and pull it from tech and start to pull into this discussion things like human and happiness, and being more human, finding more happiness, aiming for happiness, and in general, just accepting this concept that we are actually humans. So revolutionary. I didn't know that it took till 2021 for us to have a revolutionary concept that the people who we interact with are humans. But it took a pandemic. So let's grab that silver lining and let's start changing our lives for the better. Work life, home life, pull them into harmony, which means what? We have to think about what our work life culture and our home life culture, what they are, and how we can harmonize them. All right, Roger Haskett here, talking to people in a pandemic. See you at the next one.